So it's Ukraine who advance to meet England in the quarter-final next Saturday. And it has to be said, given their showing so far at the Euros, that was a bit of an upset. But the sending off in that first period of extra time certainly was a turning point in the game as far as Sweden was concerned. Historic moments for Ukraine, of course. Only their third time at the Euros. The first time, of course, they were co-hosts and qualified as a result with Poland. And last time around, they failed to get out of the group. This time, out of the group and now into the quarter-finals. Kevin, I remember one of the questions I asked at the very top of the show when we were having our chat prior to the game was there a performance waiting to burst out of this Ukraine side? Because they hadn't impressed anybody, really. I mean, I don't know whether that was a great performance or not, but they certainly worked hard to get the win.
No, they definitely did. Listen, it wasn't fantastic, but it was way better than what they'd shown so far in the competition, which wouldn't have taken a whole lot, to be honest with you. But no, it was really different how they played. Give credit to Shevchenko. He changed the formation, went 3 at the back and organised them more defensively. He's attack-minded. He likes to play on the front foot, and he didn't. He went against that today. He got everyone behind the ball. We showed clips of a half-time. And they tried to break at times, and, you know, it was against the likes of Yarmolenko. It's against the way he wants to play, but he tried his best at getting back in and defending and helping out. And they got their rewards at the end of it. They've no pressure on them because they were so fortunate to get through. There was no pressure on them coming into this game. You know, anything positive at all was an improvement. So, but as I said, I did get a feeling beforehand that they might be able to get something from it.
Yeah, so credit to Shevchenko. I was just thinking back to the second half, and they struck the woodwork twice, Sweden. But I mean, you would have expected a little bit more from them today, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, it was only Forsberg really. Isak was very quiet.
Yeah.
He didn't really have an impact on the game. Nor did Kulusevski. It was all Forsberg, and he hit the post twice, or the post and the crossbar. I always felt, if there was a goal coming, it would be Sweden's turn, but they couldn't take their chances. And then I think they've been a bit unfortunate with the sending off, and then it was all Ukraine. And even though they didn't have an awful lot of chances, it was 2 moments of brilliance by Zinchenko, because the ball for the second goal is just superb.
Certainly was. And there is the graphic which confirms their place in that quarter-final. The lineup is now complete, and one of Switzerland, Spain, Belgium, Italy, Czech Republic, Denmark, England or Ukraine will be the 2020 European champions. And I'm sure we have reports coming in that Gareth Southgate has been seen somersaulting over London Bridge in celebration at the news that Ukraine are through. We talk about that as England face Ukraine in the quarter-final, and they'll be extremely confident that they'll be able to get through that one and make it to the semis.
Absolutely, Peter. I think they'll take Ukraine all day over Sweden. I stand over what I said at the top of the show. I know I nailed them, but I still think they're one of the poorest teams in the tournament, and it just shows how bad they have been, because that was night and day. Tonight they were an awful lot better. Obviously a lot goes down to Shevchenko changing the formation, personnel. I do think, like Diddy said, that the sending off played a big part in it. I'd have to disagree with me roommate Kenny on commentary, who's gone on about Ukraine's body language and they look better. I didn't think they looked great at all. I've touched on it at half time. I don't think they're one of the fittest teams. There was a few caravans being dragged around that needed unhooking. Yarmolenko, they're not fittest guys, and they obviously didn't finish the game. And I've, like I said at the top of the show, I've made some bad predictions recently, but I've never been as sure about anything in my life. England are going through. They will beat Ukraine.
OK, well, we've got a while to think about that one, and there'll be a massive build-up to it, needless to say. But, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount about that performance that would worry Gareth Southgate. But in fairness to Ukraine, I mean, they retained enough energy to produce that final goal.
Yeah. Listen, that's the thing. It looked like the whole of extra time both teams settled. Even before it, the last 10 minutes of the second half, settling to go to penalties. But a bit of brilliance, fantastic ball. Zinchenko really good, obviously, with his goal. But this, in the last minute of the game, there's 4 people in around the box there. Dubjok to get his first ever international goal. What a moment for him. Really good header, because the ball is really good, but it's coming at such pace, it's dipping. To get decent contact so many times, you see that glance off the centre forward's forehead and go wide, but he gets enough on it. Fabulous. And I suppose a bit of credit to Ukraine for pushing people forward. We were setting up for penalties here, ready for it, and they were getting people forward into the box and looking to win it.
Looked like Sweden were setting up for penalties as well. That was the second latest goal ever scored at the Euros, did he? But caught Sweden a little bit cold. I'm sure they had penalties in their mind at that stage.
Yeah, and I don't think Ukraine, when they were down to 10 men, I don't think Ukraine created any goal-scoring opportunities. And this is how they play. They were obviously a bit fortunate in the first game against Spain. They allowed them a few chances, but that's how they play. They can defend. They're very organised, very disciplined, and it took a moment of brilliance. And you know, that header, as Kevin said, because either, you know, if you make too much contact, it goes over the bar, or you glance it wide. So it was a brilliant goal. You can't really do anything against it. I know you've got the two centre-backs, he gets in between, but it's very hard to defend. Sometimes you've got to take your hat, or you've got to give, you know, the opposition credit for the ball Zinchenko played there. But they'd be devastated, and we probably see the sending off in a minute. I thought they were very unfortunate, but when you're a minute or 2 minutes away from penalties, to go out, it's a hammer blow. It's a hammer blow, and
we can't stress how important though the sending off was, because it's one thing going down to 10 men during normal time, but when you're into extra time, it just makes it that bit difficult, because everybody was out on their feet at that point.
It looks bad, but you know, Bezzardin, you know, the ball is cleared by Daniel Alisson, and it looks terrible, and he came off with an injury, and we hope him and we wish him all the best. But all Danielson does, he plays the ball, and the other guy runs into him. You know, he doesn't follow through because he's running backwards, and he just clears the ball about, you know, 6, 7 inches, 8 inches above the floor, and he plays the ball first, and the other guy runs into him. So I would even question whether you can maybe give a foul for dangerous play, book him if you want to. But I think it's accidental. You know, these things happen. It looks terrible, and obviously the guy got injured, which is not good news for Ukraine and for him personally. But I think sometimes we've got to, in decisions like this, we've got to take this out of the equation. Well, the consequence of the tackle or whatever it is purely accidental, and I don't think it's dangerous play, because you know, when a guy comes and is first to the ball, you've got to be careful that you protect yourself. And for me, it's never in a million years a red card. Even though the pictures, you know, we sat here, we watched it a few, you can't really watch it because it looked that bad. It swayed the game in Ukraine's favour.
Yeah, and we haven't had too many interventions from VAR during this tournament, Kevin. It's been refreshing from that point of view. But they obviously felt it was a serious enough challenge to request the referee to have a look at it.
No, they've been, you know, pretty much excellent in fairness to small tournament. I spoke, you know, off camera, I suppose, at the time when it happened, and I'm like Diddy, I don't think it's a sending off, but sitting in the meetings with the refs before every season, before you go into season, they show you clips like that and they say what you think, and everyone say that's not sending off, it's accidental, he's won the ball first, and it's just a follow through, and they will always say it is because his foot is high. It doesn't matter if he's won the ball, if his studs are shown, it's reckless, it's dangerous to the opponent, and you'll sit there scratching your head and wonder how you're meant to avoid that situation, but that's what the refs are trained and taught and told, and I knew the minute it went to VAR that was going to be a red card.
Okay, it certainly proved very, very decisive, and it cost Sweden dear, and they are out of the 2020 Euros, and that's where we have to wrap it up for the evening. Many thanks to Damien, to Kevin and to Didi for being with us today on a day, of course, when England advanced to the quarter-finals, and surprise, surprise, so too did Ukraine, and they will meet in Rome next Saturday.